Okay, sometimes you're scrolling through social media and you find a texture or something, you think, wow, I'd really like that on in my map on some object, some post or something. How could I get this image into my map? So let's go through that. So if I click on that image, for instance, you can do this in Google or wherever, right in and do save image. It normally comes up in your favorite place, which I'm going to change that place into wherever I want it. I've already done this once, so there you go. And now I'm going to open that image in my favorite editor. I've got I've got Windows 7, so therefore I've got Photoshop 7. I'm sure others would work on it, but wherever. So doesn't matter. Here's my image. It looks like it's on an alpha, but it's not actually on an alpha because there is no alpha here, and no alpha. So I'm just going to flatten this image. It's a PNG. That's probably why it looked like it's an alpha, but it's not an alpha. Anyway, doesn't matter. So to number one, Unreal has certain sizes. So let's go and look at the size, and the image size is 2048 by 2048, which is cool. If it's 2048 by some other size, I would have to force it into being 2048. So let's just change this size anyway, because this is huge. So let's just change that into 1024, which is a bit more acceptable. But say for instance it wasn't 1024, say it was I don't know, say if it was that big image size. See, that doesn't work for Unreal. It has to be square numbers, 1024 by 1024, 512 by 512, 256, whatever. So then I would need to convert it into where I wanted. So that was 1024, so let's just keep it as 1024 by 1024. So here's 1024 by 1024, and let's just drag this image into my 1024 by 1024 box. It fits perfectly, and this bottom bit, I need to fill up. So let's make the layer flatten. It did actually make it white, but sometimes you don't have a white background, so I would fill that in with another color. You can use any other color, but it has to be 1024 by 1024. Make sure it's still flattened, which it is. Let's get rid of that one. I don't want to save it. So 1024 by 1024. It has to have an alpha channel. At the moment I haven't got any layers or anything, so let's use this one, which is the selection tool. So I will select all whites basically, so anything similar to white, and then I'll select the inverse because this is what I want. This is the actual object that I want. I need to create a layer, so I'm going to do layer by copy. So here's a layer by copy. Now I need an alpha, so let's have a layer ready for us to be alpha. Again, I will select the background, select similar, and select the inverse, and then I will save the selection, and I will save it as an alpha. Okay, so now you can see that this alpha, that is the bit that won't change, so it'll be as bright as it was originally. So let's save this now, and I need to save it. I can't save it in Photoshop because Unreal Editor does not accept Photoshop, but it does accept DDS. You can also accept BMP and whatever, but I just use DDS. I'm going to rename it as New Gun as an example in DDS. I've already done this once. I need to save it as an alpha channel. This is the DDS plugin for Photoshop. You don't need NVIDIA as it comes up with NVIDIA, but it does need to be in DTX3 or DTX5. I always use 3, it's just me. Generate bitmaps. I always do, because you can change that in Unreal. Bitmaps is something else that may need to be explained, but whatever. At the moment, we'll just save that. Okay, so let's get rid of Photoshop, and we don't need social media. So where are we going to put it? Well, let's put it on a post somewhere. So let's just create a space or an environment for us to play with in the first place. So I'm just going to create a box. I missed the dot there somewhere. 1024. I'm going to build my box. Here's my box. I need to texturize it. I always texturize before I subtract. So remember, this is full of space. So I need to subtract space. I want a post to put it on, so let's just do it 256 by 256, same height, blah blah blah. So there it is, and this is already a subtracted box, so I need to add a box. It's kind of hard to see what the sides are, so let's just retexturize those, and so we can see what the hell we're playing with. Okay, so now I want to put this texture, the New Gun texture, on this post. Hey. So let's create a sheet and make it vertical. Here you can see, let's just do this before we do anything else, which is number 1, I hit that button which is toggle drag grid, and I always make it 1. That's just me. Other people do all sorts of stuff and I don't care, but for a texture to not dither in the background, if people know what I'm about dithering, where it just like half seems to float on the background, it needs to be at least 2 spaces. So, and you can see my grid is 1, so that's 2 spaces. So let's import my texture. So I'm going to import, and let's go and find my New Gun. Here it is. I need to put it into my special little box, which is my level. There, if I got a new spell. Put in base, New Gun, generate bitmaps, all okay. See, I didn't click alpha. I'm doing that on purpose, because you can see that I missed that step about alphas, because it's just white. So if I go into properties and go into and make it an alpha, hey, now it's an alpha. So let's put this texture on. So obviously I need to build it. Whoops, it doesn't look like it's been on there at all. This is because this is 1024 by 1024. It's huge. You can't even see it. It's just not, you can't see it. So let's take the alpha back off so we can at least see it. There it is. So now it's white. So I click on the texture and I go into texture properties, and let's change the size of it so we can see it. So let's make it half the size. Ooh, there it is. So let's make it a quarter of the size. There it is. Let's put the alpha back on. So, hey, there's our gun, which is great. So here you say, haha, I've done it. Well, we haven't actually done any lighting or anything yet. So let's light up this environment. So let us go and add a zone info for a start. Everybody needs a zone info. And let's shove some ambient light on it. So ambient brightness, to start off with while I'm making my map, let's make it 20. There's no, I mean, if I, well, I could just, let's just do it. Let's just build geometry and build lighting. So it's a bit freaking dark. Whatever. So let's put a light in here. So I'm just going to add a light bulb. So what's the properties of a light bulb? Well, 64 is a bit high. Light radius 64 in a 256. It's a bit much. We could actually see how much lighting there is if we really wanted to. If I right click on here and go into actors and go into radii view, that's the radii view of the light bulb itself. That's the collision of the light bulb. But you can see this is the massive amount of light that it's giving. It's way too much light. So let's knock this light radius down to 20. Oops. Yep. Wherever. I'm sure I did something wrong. Oh no, that's the radius. There. So now you can see the light radius has gone down and the light brightness. I need to make that a bit brighter. So at least go to a 30. Well, let's just test it. Let's see how far we're going. So let's build lighting. Yeah, we need a bit more than that. So let's go back up to, in this case, let's go back up to an 80. Whoa, that's way too bright. Doesn't matter. Let's get rid of this. Actors, full actor. Build lighting. So now we're back. But the thing you can see here is that it's got a shadow around the background. Now, that's not very good. We don't. There is no way of getting rid of this shadow. There's nothing here. I can't do the flags or anything. Nothing. There's nothing I can do about this. But there is. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert this into a static mesh. Convert static mesh. Has to go into my level. It's obviously going to be called new gun. And we're going to go find it. My level, new gun. Let's insert it. Here is new gun. Let's put it back in its place. I no longer need my old texture because now it's a static mesh. So let's get rid of the old texture, which was a static mesh. I've got rid of the old texture, so let's rebuild the map again. So geometry, and I'm going to build the lighting again. So again, you can see nothing changed except now this is a static mesh. Okay, but what we are going to change, because now it's a static mesh, I can go into display and I can make it shadow cast is false. So see the light bulb is throwing a shadow over it, so now it's not going to. And if I build the lighting again, see, the shadow cast disappeared. So that's great. I've put it as 2 on a rule away, which is fine, but believe it or not, it's got a collision, so you could actually stand on top of it. Sounds stupid, but you could. Move that out of the way. It's annoying. Because if we go into the wireframe, you can see that it's 2 away from the brush. So we need to make it so that it doesn't have any collision. And the way we did that is obviously go into collision, take all collision off. Again, we have simple karma collision. We could change it here, but that's not a good place to change it. It's better to change it here. So let's go back to a normal texture. The thing is, as well, it's a bit dull, to be honest. And not only that, it's a bit effing huge. It's only one icon. It's like, it's not a big part of the map, and this is going to be like 2.5 megabytes for Unreal, just this one texture. I think it's way too big. So personally, I think we need to make it a bit brighter, and I think we may need to make it a bit smaller because it's not an important part of the map. So let's go back to our Adobe Photoshop and let's just open up that texture again. Not the PNG, we'll do the new gun one that we actually created, which is a DDS. This is the one that we actually created. I'm going to be doing stuff, so I need to get rid of the alpha, and let's go back to the original. So I need to make it brighter, but as you can see, this is all grey. If I made it white, it would disappear into the background, so that's no good. So like it already is, I need to select black, but then I need to basically make all the whites black. So I just do similar. Then I'm just going to use the paint. I can paint it all. Blah 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 blah. It's probably the easier way, so it doesn't matter. And there you go. So, but now I'm just going to make the whole thing brighter. So if I just go into image, adjustments, contrast, let's just make the whole fucking thing brighter. There you go, nice and bright. Okay, let's make sure it's still a flat image before we even start. So it is. That's good. And let's also change the image size, because its image size is 1024 by 124. It's way too big for it is. To be honest, I'll do a 256 by 256, but just for this example, I'll do a 512. And again, now we're back into the let's create an alpha. So select and then similar, and then select the inverse, and then create a copy, layer copy, and then let's get back to it, adding an alpha. So similar, select inverse, save selection as an alpha. That's all good. So as you can see, it's all just the same as it was, and I'm going to save it as exactly the same as it was, which is new gun, but obviously still a DDS. It's not going to be a copy, but Photoshop doesn't like you, it doesn't want you to save it like that. So anyway, yes, I'm going to replace it. And it's still DDX3. Save. So let's go into here again. Unreal Editor. Don't know why that minimized, but. And we're going to import the same thing. It's the same name. Nothing changed. I'm going to make sure I tick alpha. And now you can see the size has changed to half. It used to be. It made no difference to the static mesh. Even though it was a 1024, it could have been a 204.8, which was the original size. But even though we've changed the size here, the actual static mesh itself has not changed. I could make the static mesh bigger and smaller, and I can stretch it vertically and horizontally and change its size. In fact, the next video I think I will show you how to import normal pictures without messing them up. So so that's the thing. And again, if I well, I don't know, built all, it's still the same, but now it's a lot brighter. The other thing is, if I got rid of my light bulb, because my zone info has zone light of an ambient brightness of 20, if I built it again now, so built lighting, the light bulb's gone, but the brightness of this static mesh remains. In actual fact, I could change the brightness of the static mesh itself, so I could change the brightness of the static mesh to, oh no, if I change it to 100 for instance, it'd be bright as fuck. But even though I've got no lighting, so there's another thing to consider. It's way too bright. Doesn't matter. Depends on the surrounding stuff. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the vid. That's me, and yeah, more vids to come.